me what we talked about last time.
We talked about the fact that directing is really problem solving, and that the director has to first understand and then figure out how to put what the play is about on its feet and how to solve the problem that will lie therein of presenting it to an audience so that a clear, concise message gets across to the audience, that the play is communicated to the audience. And we talked about how the director has to be very definite about that.
Okay, now I guess the main thing that I really want you to get your teeth into so that you never let it go is that every play is like any other object in the world. It's a singular thing. It is not like another thing. For instance, have you ever seen the kind of corkscrews that you put in line that have the arms and when you push down? Tell me what one of those is like. In other words, tell me what the properties of that are.
Right. Well, it's at one end of it is the curly screw that goes into the cork.
Right.
Right. At the other end is a handle of some sort that helps you to grasp it, but also helps you to press the cork into the screw thing into the cork. And there's certain the top has several arms, right? It's is it two arms at the top that come out?
Okay, from that description, can you build one?
No.
Okay.
Would not be enough detail to build one. Ooh. Has the two arms I was talking about. There seems to be a device that is placed into this mechanism, this metal mechanism, which is almost like an exterior. I suppose this goes into the cork, and this comes up.
How does it go into the cork?
Well, you have to place it onto the cork, and then
Yeah, you have to turn it.
Yeah.
Turn the thing so that it screws down and turn what's in your right hand.
Right hand. I see.
So that it screws down into the cork.
Right.
And once it is pushed down far enough into the cork, you'll see what the levers do. Those work on the front.
Would you press them down this way?
Press them down.
Yeah.
And that makes the
cork come up with the mechanism,
hook
right?
into
Yeah.
the cork. Now, you see that when I asked you, had you ever seen one of these and can you describe it, your grasp on it was kind of iffy.
Right.
Now, you see you have the thing there,
Mm-hmm.
and it's more concretized.
Right.
Not only the fact that you're literally holding it,
Yeah.
but also you have a chance to look at it and see what it is.
Mm-hmm. I didn't even visualize this part of it. When I
Right.
recall the outer body,
Right,
didn't recall that at all.
right.
I recalled these arms, but I couldn't remember how many. I thought two. And I recalled this part of it, of course, in that it was, curly.
But in actuality, you can tell me a lot of other things about it now with it in your hand. Now, what is that process that you're doing? You're doing a script interpretation of the
Yeah. Right.
corkscrew.
Studying it. Yeah.
Now, this goes along with the very singular thing that I want you to remember. That is what it is and nothing else. It has many properties to it. How it works on the physics of a lever, what its shape is, how many parts it has, what the parts are made of, what is the length of the part that has to go into the cork, and why is that screw of that length rather than shorter or longer. All of those things, plus the gear situation of how the two levers work on a lever. It works on a geared lever process, not a fulcrum lever process. So those kinds of things, it doesn't have any other things. And it has all of the things that it has. And so for you to know what it has, you have to look at it, you have to study it, you have to see all of the things that are there, how they're supposed to work together, and what in the end this thing is going to be able to do. It's going to give me that Beaujolais I want. Now, the Beaujolais you want is the audience's response to the play. So every play is its own object. If that's Hamlet, this is Macbeth. And you see that that object is totally different. It's a little flashlight. It's not the same color. It's not the same weight. It's not the same construction. It has no lever. It has something other than metal in the little handle piece. It functions differently. At the end, there's a rubber thing to turn it on. You punch it in, it turns on, and then you get what you're supposed to get out of it. Now, both of those things have similarities. They both are made majority of metal. They both have moving pieces. They both have a utilitarian purpose. They're not anything the same thing. So by this little demonstration, what I hope to show you is that every play is like a singular object. It has its own characteristics. It has its own demands. It has its own logical patterns. It has its own view of history. It has its own type of characterization. It has its own type of language use. All of those things are significant to that play and that play only, although there may be other plays with similarities. So you have to know everything about that play that exists in the play and in no other play before you can direct it. That's what the process of the director's work before he starts to announce the actors for auditions or anything else must be. And you really have to take hold of the fact that every single play is a totally separate thing which has to be studied in its entirety. And you're having known, acted in, directed, read, whatever else, any number of other plays, in a sense, makes no difference to your ability to come to grips with what is this play. Now, you might be able to try to drive in a nail with the corkscrew. You have a nail, somehow you try to batter it in. It's not what the corkscrew is intended for. It's not going to drive a nail very well. You're going to ruin the corkscrew probably trying to drive the nail with it. You may get the nail in a little bit, but it won't be like if you put it in with a hammer. So there's no difference between the use of objects which have their own realities and demand they be used in certain ways, and the use of a play to show on stage what Aristotle talks about in the Poetics as the thought of the play. In other words, what this is about, what the lesson, if there's a lesson, what the experience of humanity is. And that you have to be assured of, and that is why always, both in the acting classes and certainly in this, I have to really emphasize that there's no 5, 6, 7, or even 2 ways to do a play. There aren't 2 interpretations of a play. There aren't 2 interpretations of that corkscrew that are equally correct. There can be many interpretations, but not equally correct. So that means what the play is of itself demands recognition by a director, more than in the sense of just, quote, what it's about. What are all of its elements? How do they work together? What are they working together for? Everything that, by the way, since many playwrights work intuitively, they're not even aware of. Nonetheless, the director has to be able to know and be able to bring into focus for an audience. Authors who direct their own plays usually direct bad productions of their plays because they don't understand what's in the play. Now that sounds like an odd thing. If most writers wrote from the point of view of logical craft, then they would know what's in their play. But most don't. They have a feeling about things. They start to write. It feels right or it doesn't feel right. They talk to you always about, and then the characters began to talk to each other, and so I let them go. And what that really means is that their subconscious mind is trying to put forth something that they feel about life, something that they've experienced, in a way that other people can grasp it. But they generally have not made a specific structural blueprint of what it is they're going to do, what characters will be perfect for it, what age the people should be, what background they should have, and all of those things, because they do whatever they do intuitively.
It reminds me a little bit of that story about Brecht. I think it's attributed to Brecht that he said, don't mentioned it to you before, that don't trust anything the character says about themselves. At face value, don't trust anything the other characters say about your character at face value. In fact, don't even trust anything that I say about my characters at face value.
Well, as an author, right. As a director, he should know.
Yeah.
He has to know.
Right.